In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us pray. Almighty God, your Son, Jesus Christ, restored Mary Magdalene to health and called her to be the first witness of his resurrection. Heal us from all our infirmities and call us to know you in the power of your Son's unending life. Through the same Jesus Christ, our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen. Almighty and everlasting God, we thank you that you have brought us safely to the beginning of this day. Keep us from falling into sin or running into danger. Order us in all our doings, and guide us to do always what is right in your eyes. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Eternal God and Father, you create us by your power and redeem us by your love. Guide and strengthen us by your Spirit, that we may give ourselves in love and service to one another and to you. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. The first reading for the feast of St. Mary Magdalene is written in the 31st chapter of the book of Proverbs. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships, she bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hand she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry, her clothing is of silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honour are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favour is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. This is the word of the Lord. The second reading is written in the 13th chapter of the book of the Acts of the Apostles. Men and brethren, children of the stock of Abraham, and whosoever among you feareth God, to you is the word of this salvation sent. For they that dwell at Jerusalem and their rulers, because they knew him not, nor yet the voices of the prophets which are read every Sabbath day, they have fulfilled them in condemning him. And though they found no cause of death in him, yet desired they Pilate that he should be slain. And when they had fulfilled all that was written of him, they took him down from the tree and laid him in a sepulchre. But God raised him from the dead, and he was seen many days of them which came up with him from Galilee to Jerusalem, who are his witnesses unto the people. This is the word of the Lord. The third reading is written in the 11th chapter of the Gospel according to Matthew. The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early when it was yet dark unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Then she runneth and cometh to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and saith unto them, They have taken away the Lord out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him. Then the disciples went away again unto their own home. But Mary stood without at the sepulchre weeping. And as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the sepulchre, and seeth two angels in white sitting, the one at the head, and the other at the feet where the body of Jesus had lain. And they say unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? She saith unto them, Because they have taken away my Lord, and I know not where they have laid him. And when she had thus said, she turned herself back and saw Jesus standing, and knew not that it was Jesus. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, why weepest thou? Whom seekest thou? She, supposing him to be the gardener, saith unto him, Sir, if thou hast borne him hence, tell me where thou hast laid him, and I will take him away. Jesus saith unto her, Mary. She turned herself and saith unto him, Rabboni, which is to say, Master. Jesus saith unto her, Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father, but go unto my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. Mary Magdalene came and told the disciples that she had seen the Lord, and that he had spoken these things unto her. This is the word of the Lord. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and our Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ. Amen. May the words of my lips and the thoughts of all our hearts be always acceptable unto you, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Last Sunday we heard our Lord's parable about the sower who sowed seed in the hope that it would all take root and grow and produce an abundant harvest. Some did and some didn't. On this, the feast day of St. Mary Magdalene, we give thanks to the sower for the rich harvest of saving faith that his seed and word produced in this humble woman. Between the four Gospels, there's enough written about Mary Magdalene for us to put together a fairly complete sketch of her. Let's begin with her name. For the most part, the woman that we meet in the scriptures are typically identified by the name of their relationship to another person, typically a man. There's Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mary, the wife of Clopas, Joanna, the wife of Chusa, and Mary, the sister of Martha, and certainly after the resurrection, Mary, the sister of Lazarus. But Mary Magdalene is not known by her relationship to another person, only by her hometown, Magdala, which probably means that there was no husband or brother or sister, or certainly child in her life. And maybe the reason for that has to do with the condition of her life before she met Jesus. In the 8th chapter of his Gospel, Luke tells us that Jesus went on through the cities and villages, proclaiming and bringing the good news of the kingdom of God. And the 12 were with him, and also some women who had been healed of evil spirits and infirmities. And then from all of these women, Luke singles out one in particular, Mary called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had gone out. So what does it mean that Jesus cast out 7 demons from Mary? These days we're not too sure what to make of this whole business of demons and demon possession. So it might be helpful to think of it like this. Without denying the existence of demons and demon possession, I think we can also say that with the help of modern science, we might understand some of the things differently than people used to. For instance, some of the ways that the Bible described the ways that demon-possessed people behaved looks an awful lot like what we might today attribute to seizures due to neurological or chemical disorders. What is true is no matter how you define it, the fact that the person who suffers from these things is like a captive who is unable to escape. They neither choose to act like this, nor can they simply snap out of it. Mary was a captive of these terrible forces, and they controlled her. When Luke says that Mary had 7 demons, he may be using the biblical number for completeness in order to say that Mary was completely under the control of these forces, such that there may hardly have been any relief. Anyone who had known her before these 7 demons would have said something like, "This isn't the real Mary." Like we might say of someone with advanced Alzheimer's, "This isn't who she really is." The real Mary was lost in the chaos and the confusion of forces that held her captive. But then this man named Jesus set her free. We're not told how. In his 4th chapter, Luke tells us that after Jesus healed Peter's mother-in-law of her fever, a great line of people gathered outside the house. All of those who had any who were sick with various diseases brought them to him, and he laid his hands on every one of them and healed them. And demons also came out of many, crying, "You are the Son of God." This took place in the village of Capernaum, which is very close to the little village of Magdalene. So maybe Mary was one of them. In any case, his command or the touch of his hand shattered her darkness. He unloosed the chains that bound her, and the prison door flew open, and she walked out herself again. He gave Mary back to herself and to her family and friends. The prophet Isaiah foretold that when the Messiah came, he would open the eyes of the blind and bring out the prisoners from the dungeon, those who sat in darkness. Mary of Magdalene was one such prisoner. So what must this have been like for Mary? It's hard to say, but I don't think we can go too wrong by saying that it must have been like being born again. And however you might imagine it for Mary, I think it's the way that we should think about what happens in holy baptism. We were all captive to sin, death, and the devil, and we could not free ourselves. None of us were ourselves, the people that God created in his own image. But then with the water and his word, Jesus set us free. He gave us back to ourselves again. We know who we are now, children of God. The introit appointed for the Feast of St. Mary Magdalene, which of course we don't get to use today, consists of the first 3 verses of Psalm 30. Listen to them as though they were coming from Mary's mouth. I will extol you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up and have not let my foes rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you have healed me. O Lord, you have brought up my soul from Sheol. You restored me to life from among those who go down to the pit. And this can also be our own prayer of thanks for what Jesus has done to us in our baptism. Instead of returning to Magdala, Mary follows Jesus and becomes one of his most loyal supporters. As she followed her Lord, she would have seen him set free countless others from their demons. Everywhere she goes, she sees the darkness being shattered by the light of the world. She sees those who were lost to themselves and to others, found and returned both to themselves and to their families and friends. Truly, the strong man was breaking into Satan's house and throwing him out. Truly, the kingdom of heaven was at hand. There is no other direct reference to Mary Magdalene until we come to the cross. And there she is. John writes, standing by the cross of Jesus was his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. And now we ask ourselves another question. What must this have been like for Mary? What was she thinking? What was going through her mind when, as Mark records, when the 6th hour had come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour? The one who had set her free from her darkness and captivity was now engulfed in darkness and unable to escape his captivity. Had the darkness overcome the light after all? There are two things that we want to notice here. Firstly, Mary doesn't return to the captivity that she was held by before Jesus released her. We don't see Mary losing herself again in the face of such confusion, chaos, and darkness. Secondly, what we do see is that Mary simply remains at the cross. She remains right there through the 3 hours of darkness and the earthquake that immediately followed his death. What is it that keeps her there? What else could it be but her devotion to Jesus? He had entered into her darkness and delivered her from it. Now she was entering into his darkness. And even though she had no power to deliver him from it, she could sit with him. In her total helplessness and despair, all that she could do was stay with Jesus. And that's what she did. Maybe we've had children or parents or friends who've been ill, or friends and loved ones engulfed in grief, and there was nothing that we could do to deliver them from their darkness. All we could do was sit with them in their helplessness and their hopelessness. At the end of the day, when Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus came to take the body of Jesus down from the cross and to place it in the tomb, Mary Magdalene is right there. Mark writes, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where he was laid. As soon as the Sabbath was officially over, it was Mary Magdalene who was the first to return to the tomb. John writes, now on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb. What insult added to injury this must have been for her. Now she doesn't even have a body to remain and sit with. And without even looking inside, she runs off to tell the disciples the terrible news. Peter and John race to the tomb and confirm their worst suspicions. The body of Jesus they did not see. But Mary has run along right behind them. And once again, after the disciples disciples leave, she returns. She stays. John writes, but Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. And after a while she summons the courage to actually look inside herself. And she sees two angels in white sitting where the body of Jesus had lain, the one at the head and the other at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" And she said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." She, of course, didn't know what we know. She didn't know that her Lord had entered into the darkness and captivity of our sin in order to shatter it and set all the captives free, once and for all. She didn't know that what her Lord had done for her, he came to do for all people, so that all men and women may know who they really are, children of God, and may, with Mary, call him my Lord. Because it's not a matter of Jesus calling us to come out of the darkness and set ourselves free. We are prisoners. He must come into the darkness to release us from its grip and so set us free. This is the great mystery of the Christian faith. God did not overcome the darkness by waving a magic wand or speaking into the darkness as he did at the creation of the world. He sent his Son to enter into it. The Son of God became as engulfed by the darkness and captivity of the devil as Mary was, and as we all are. But Mary knows none of this yet. All she wants to do is to be with her Lord in this darkness, which is also now her darkness. In her patient waiting, she hears something behind her. She turns to see who it might be. And the man, who strangely she doesn't recognise, says, "Woman, why are you weeping? Who are you seeking?" We can only imagine that as she tells her story to John, who records it for us, John must have been asking her, "So who do you think it was?" To which she replied, "I thought it was a gardener. And I said to him, 'Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away.' And the stranger replied, 'Mary.' The shepherd calls his sheep by name, and they know the sound of his voice. Mary turned and said to him in Aramaic, 'Rabboni,' which means my teacher. And suddenly the darkness was shattered once and for all. The risen sun turned her tears into rainbows. And once again Jesus gave Mary back to herself and to his Father in heaven, never to be lost again. Amen. The peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God and of his Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you with favour and give you peace.